Welcome to the unboxing review of the Huion Canvas GT156 HD version 2 pen tablet monitor. Now this is one of the latest introductions in the Huion range, and when it got in touch with me to say, "Hey Mikey, oh hello Huion, would you like to review our Canvas GT156 HD pen tablet monitor if we sent one to you?" I said of course, yes please. Now I've had the opportunity to review a number of art tablets, but when it came to my personal choice for use at the desk instead of on the go, I've been using this year mostly the Huion GT220 pen tablet monitor as my main workhorse, whilst using the Cintiq Companion 2 for anything on the go. Now under the shipping bubble wrap is a cardboard box with the Huion branding, and this is actually a further protective shell for the more display ready box within, perhaps for the sake of keeping things safely stored in stock, but the result is that everything in the next layer is in top condition even after shipping. It opens at the end, and inside is the display box itself, black themed with some basic product information and promotional imagery, and a lid sits over the top of the box like a board game, and the first thing within is the Huion welcome card. Thanks! Below is a tablet itself in a plastic sleeve, and my immediate thoughts are that it looks relatively light, has an interesting express key format, and size-wise it looks like it's intended for use on the go or casually on your lap, as well as a committed sit down at a desk. Silver along the edges and made from a mix of materials that we'll touch on later. Below this in another protective sleeve is a metal stand that works in a folding lock format which is fairly unique to Huion. There's a USB charging cable for the pen, and below all of that is the all-in-one connection cable, which is all the range for the portable tablet types. There is a hard Huion case which houses the pen itself along with a metal ring and spare nibs, and if you know me in any of my reviews, I'm going to have a lot to say about this pen in just a moment. This tablet comes with a drawing glove, so well done guys, one less peripheral that I have to worry about on the side, a cleaning cloth, installation CD, and a setup instruction guide, which of course I'll never read. And it looks like one set works everywhere, as a power plug comes with the different socket types to work across the different countries, 3 pins for the UK, and all of the rest of the world that could only be bothered with 2. All of this being presented in a vacuum extruded plastic tray inside of the box. So to recap, this is everything that you can expect to find in the box. There's of course the Huion tablet monitor itself, the pen and nibs, cleaning cloth, drawing glove, USB charger, all-in-one multi-cable, the metal stand, power plugs and driver installation CD with setup and installation guides. So the next thing I wanted to do is show you what the Huion Canvas GT156 HD version 2 pen tablet monitor looks like when it's set up in a fairly small workspace like my own. It fits in fairly nicely on the right, and I'm using it as a second monitor, extending the desktop alongside my usual drawing tablet, the Huion GT220, just for the sake of a size comparison. The all-in-one cable, as mentioned, is popular with tablets designed to be used a bit more freely and on the go, as it reduces clutter and the number of things you might need to throw into a bag. At one end is a connection to plug straight into the tablet, and the other it splits into a HDMI and USB for plugging into your computer or laptop, and a connection to attach to the power plug for the mains. So I connected that to the computer, plugged in the other end to the side of the tablet, and turned it on with the power button on the side. I whacked in the driver installation CD, and the setup software looked nice and up to date with a fairly straightforward interface. Windows Ink was automatically turned on, but I did however have to make sure that I had uninstalled the driver and software for my other tablet first in order to allow things to run smoothly. Now for a quick bit of troubleshooting. At first I noticed that despite setting everything to full screen in the software, the mouse cursor wasn't tracking back to the pen, and it was limited to about 2/3 of the actual screen, not reaching all the way to the left or bottom. It turned out this is simply because my Windows 10 computer resized the desktop to about 150% automatically, and it was messing up with the tracking. So all I had to do is put the display size back to 100% and the problem disappeared. You can thank me later. Straight away, the 8192 levels of pressure sensitivity were recognized by Photoshop, and I encountered no glitchy dots or software problems when using it with the software. The tablet itself has a large silver plastic border and a 1920 by 1080p resolution 15.5-inch pen touch screen, and it's also built with a completely different and far more tactile rubber that runs in 2 strips along the back of the tablet, most likely for grip, as well as for the express keys on the side. Overall it feels nice and sturdy as well as relatively light. There are 14 express keys in a rocker wheel format that are designed to work the same even if you flip the tablet the other way around to use left-handed. God forbid. They feel really nice to the touch, and in the middle is a touch-sensitive slider bar that was automatically set up to act as a zoom in and out function with Photoshop. The metal stand is designed with a very thin profile in mind and folds open for some various shallow angles up to 45 degrees maximum. It feels like it's been machined straight from some solid metal material and has 2 rubber strips to grip the tablet when it's set into place. It folds down into 2 different sections, not unlike the stand for the Cintiq Companion 2, and notches into the different grooves at the base. Now the tablet itself is designed to sit into the stand with some grip from the rubber, but does not lock into place. This is of course so you can keep it portable, but also worth bearing in mind when shuffling the tablet around on your desk. When applying pressure to the tablet on the stand to the center and the top, it is rock solid, which is great, and any pressure on the screen area itself had no movement. But a hard lean on the far corner edge will shift it out of place, not that you'll actually be doing that at all whilst working. Now let's talk about the pen. I think Huion launched their new 8192 levels pressure pen earlier this year, and it comes in a hard carry case. It's got a good solid weighty feel to it and charges via the USB. It has the standard 2 buttons on the side with plenty of space around the nib for your hand, and also if you bring your fingers right up to the tip, this pen shape actually goes into a triangular formation for a bit just before the tip, like a training pencil might, to align your fingers. And it also follows this longer trailing profile, much like more traditional artist pens, that further pushes the artist in mind attitude when using it. Now this might be the saddest thing I've ever said, but I think this is actually my favourite digital pen I've used so far. It really does feel solid and well put together. So that's it for the dry details about the tablet. But I really wanted to sit down and work on a piece for a few hours and really get to grips with the different elements of this tablet and see what they're actually like to work with over a period of time. The first thing I did was to sit down with a really rough sketch to both warm up and also rough out a pose for a Cuphead character, because popular, and also as an opportunity to work out the buttons on the rocker wheel and what's best for me. The slider itself has a really nice texture and works immediately with Photoshop, although in Photoshop itself the zoom in and out is still a little bit jerky. However, I've not come across any other tablet with a slider as part of its hotkeys, so I'm really pleased with that regardless. I found that with my left arm resting on the desk whilst I worked, I gravitated towards the bottom 7 buttons the most, so I set those as Control, Alt, Shift and Tab etc. to the ring itself and moved the delete out to a separate button from the default settings to avoid accidentally pressing it. Above that button I added a new layer command, and up at the top I had undo set in for any mistakes. Once I got used to the location of my key setup whilst doing the rough sketch, I didn't need to go back to the keyboard at all, which made the workflow much smoother, and for once not even going back to my mouse with the other hand, which I usually use as a zoom with the scroll wheel. So then, having a crack at a final version of artwork, the pen itself was really comfortable to use. It has a really nice, smooth flowing texture across the surface of the screen, which I was really pleased with, because on some slightly more budget tablets it can be too rough and you feel like you're scratching away at something instead of smoothly creating some art. But on this screen things immediately felt nice and fluid with the new pen. The texture surface of the screen itself, however, although feeling great, can catch some glare from overhead light, which I found at a couple of angles. And I did notice that the brightness levels of the screen itself were a step darker than my main monitor, so I did need to move my art to the other screen before I was 100% confident in its overall levels of brightness before publication. Now that's a minor thing because the overall colour temperature and colour range of this tablet was really nice, but I did notice the monitor does not come with any quick adjustment buttons for direct change to the settings, so it does mean you might want to adjust the brightness in your Windows display settings instead. The angle of the monitor whilst working with the stand was absolutely fine for me. With one hand usually down the left side for the hotkeys, I was comfortable throughout, which was a good few hours. But the stand itself does not lift the monitor beyond 45 degrees, so it means it doesn't sit perfectly upright for using as a traditional monitor on its own for the sake of watching films. If you want to sit back and leave this on your desktop, you might have to prop it up with something else. Another thing that I noticed on this monitor, or lack of, is that it did not heat up at all night long whilst working on it. At its very worst, it was ever so slightly warm along the bottom edge, but essentially it stayed cool throughout. And again, this is an efficiency thing to keep an eye out for on other more budget monitors. Sometimes they can heat up very badly. Now, when it comes to the size of the tablet that Huion have chosen to go for, I would say that this is probably the largest work area you can have while still trying to keep it portable. The profile of the tablet was again quite thin, and the folded stand takes up very little space too. So it's all designed to fit into the same kind of space you might also want to put a laptop. Now, I tend to mostly work at my desk as my chair is fairly comfortable, and a long drawing session doesn't work for me on the floor or propped up in bed. So this review has been focused on using the tablet as a long-term solution for your artwork instead of something on the go. Now, overall, I have found this tablet to be a real pleasure to use, and there is really a feeling of quality and function that suggests that this has been designed from a lot of feedback from creators. And it really does raise this Huion Canvas GT156HD version 2 pen tablet monitor for me quite a step above similar models in a similar or slightly lower price band. Now, there is nothing wrong at all with going for a cheaper model tablet if you're fresh to digital art or just getting a feel for things and trying to work out if tablets are for you. But if you know your stuff or you're trying to take artwork digitally as a serious approach, then this is definitely something to consider. Personally, as I'm less of an artist on the go, I would love to see this exact same monitor precisely as it is, but simply bigger and a touch brighter. However, I use a much larger traditional monitor with my computer for general use, so having this tablet alongside should work quite nicely. So it goes without saying a great big thank you to Huion for sending me their Canvas GT156HD version 2 tablet monitor for review, and because my thoughts have been quite positive in this review, I do feel it is worth mentioning that although Huion have sent me the tablet for review, they have been cool with the idea of me being both positive and critical in my feedback if that was the case. And also, I'm not receiving any kickback or further contributions for their sales or anything like that following this review, which is basically my way of saying I almost wish I was, because to be honest, I think although the screen size is a little smaller, this is probably now my new personal workhorse for future art. This thing really is nice to use. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you found this review and unboxing to be useful, especially if you're going around trying to work out what tablet might be for you. Now, for those of you that follow the channel, you'll probably notice I've been reviewing a lot of tablets recently, so I've got a fairly good idea of what's going on across the board. So if you're trying to work out what's best for your needs and your budget, or you have any more general questions, then get into the comments section below. And of course, if you guys have got experience of your own with this particular tablet, let me know. So don't forget to subscribe, guys, for more art and tutorials and reviews on the channel in the future. It'll be a pleasure to have you guys along. I'm on all of the social media these days, and of course I'll see you next time. Take care.